Assassin's Creed has been around for a long time, and with every new release the franchise grows in scale and strange little secrets. Every game has at least something that slips past most people, either because it requires online features that don't exist anymore, or requirements so specific that only the most dedicated people ever bother to go after it. In a few cases, the rare pick is not even a normal item. It might be an achievement, an avatar reward, or something that was only available during a short event. And so for this video, I went through every mainline game starting from Assassin's Creed 1 all the way up to Assassin's Creed Shadows to figure out what the single rarest item tied to each game is. Now, before we keep going, I've been trying out this game after recording sessions, and it kept me playing longer than I planned. I'll show you what I mean, and there's a pretty great bonus waiting at the end. The timing is perfect, because Ultimate Death Knight is back for new players. You can grab him for free with the code UDKING, which to be honest is actually quite insane because he's one of the strongest defensive champs in the early game. Ultimate Death Knight basically soaks up hits for your whole team. He has a passive where single target damage gets pulled onto him, which keeps everybody else alive. He also heals himself when enemies heal, so he sticks around in fights longer than most tanks. His shield and team heal skill is super helpful, and he can lock down enemies with provokes and fears. He works in pretty much every mode, so grabbing him early makes the game way easier. After playing a bit, the thing I like the most is the feeling of actually building up a squad and seeing the difference when you pick the right champs. The graphics surprised me too because they look better than most mobile games I played. Summoning champions from shards is weirdly fun, and I've been checking factions to see who I want to upgrade next. If you want to try it, use my link or scan the QR code on screen, because that's how you can get all the bonus rewards. Right away you get Epic Ultimate Gaelic, who hits harder and can reduce turn meter, and when you hit level 15 you get Zargala, another epic who pairs great with him. On top of that, new players can choose one of 6 promo codes for a legendary champion: Treehugger for Green Warden Ruach, Get Alice for Alice the Wanderer, Desert Queen for Tuhanarak, Monkey King for Sun Wukong, Demon Slayer for Tholin Foulbeard, or UDKING for Ultimate Death Knight. If you want a safe pick, go with Ultimate Death Knight if you didn't use the code earlier, since he makes the early game super smooth. But to be fair, pick whatever fits the playstyle you like. Just remember, these rewards only work if you download through my link or QR code, and you get access to the promo code about 2 days after installing. Come find me under the name The Hidden One, and join my clan Hidden Ones if you want to play along. Starting off with Assassin's Creed 1, and this one took me a while because the game is so simple compared to the later games. There is no special type of outfit or weapon, nothing like that, but there is one thing almost everybody missed, and is hidden in the modern day. So before you start Memory Block 5, all you have to do is exit the Animus as Desmond, and then once you're in the modern day, you simply walk up behind Vidic while he's staring out the window with a coffee in his hand, and then you literally press any button. Desmond will pickpocket a little USB pen from his coat, and that USB pen is the single item that lets you access Vidic's computer and all of his emails. Now, the reason this ends up being the rarest thing in the whole game is because you only get one shot at grabbing it. If you finish the main story of Assassin's Creed 1 and try to replay memories, the game dumps you straight into the endgame Animus room with no way to reach Vidic again. I know so many people that only found out about the pen after beating the game, and at that point it's way too late. It doesn't change the ending or anything, but it does unlock a decent chunk of lore most people never read. So yeah, Vidic's USB pen ends up being Assassin's Creed 1's rarest item, purely because the timing is easy to miss, and the game will never tell you about it. Assassin's Creed 2 expands a lot on Assassin's Creed 1, and in this game there are a few things that might be considered quite rare to obtain. There is of course the broom itself, which not many realize is a weapon that you can actually use, but if we're talking about the rarest, I think it's easily the auditory cape, and the simple reason is because almost nobody gets this thing legit. To unlock it, you have to collect all 100 feathers scattered across every city, then return them to Ezio's mother in Monteregione. There is no in-game map for them, they blend into the environment making them hard to spot, and a few are locked behind late game areas. Most people either give up or just watch the cutscene on YouTube instead. Now, what you get for all of that effort is a short, emotional scene where Ezio's mother finally decides to speak again, so good job, Maria. You also get the In Memory of Petruchio achievement or trophy, and finally the auditory cape itself, which sets your notoriety to 100% everywhere except the villa, which, thinking of it now, is a bit stupid, isn't it? Why would your mother randomly decide to give you a cape that causes enemy guards to attack you on sight? A very interesting design choice, I must say. Now moving on, we have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, another game that expanded on content compared to its predecessor. And for this game, I've gone with something that I would say 99% of people probably don't even realize is rare. And that is shrunken heads. And yes, I did just say shrunken heads. So in the entire game of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, there are only 2 guaranteed shrunken heads you can find. One is hidden in a chest on a cliff in the Antiso district, overlooking the river near the Thieves Guild area. The second is buried inside the Romulus lair named the Sixth Day, tucked away inside a side tunnel. Now, do note, they are not random drops at all. In fact, they are not common loot. Those 2 spots are it. There is not a single other location in the entire game where you can find a shrunken head. Now, you may be thinking, why are these important? Well, you need both for a single shop quest that unlocks 2 late game armor pieces, which is where the pain really kicks in. Most people would grab one early, see it sell for a nice chunk of florins and then get rid of it without knowing what it's for. If you do that, you are basically locked out of the armor for the entire game, which makes these weird little trophies some of the rarest objects in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And speaking of trophies, this next one in Assassin's Creed Revelations is a bit different, because for this game I had to cheat a little and pick an achievement as the item, because the tax evasion trophy might honestly be rarer than most of the actual gear or items in the game. Now, to unlock this in Revelations, you have to get your money back from a Templar tax collector, who, if you don't know, is a random NPC who wanders near banks after a deposit and then absolutely bolts away the second he spots you. Now, you may be thinking on paper that sounds quite simple, right? But nope, not at all. People finish the whole game, clear every collectible, hit 100% sync, and they will never see this guy once. Not once. If you look online for help, the guides tell you to camp near places like the Arsenal or around Hagia Sophia, or wait for a bank deposit and then run into a nearby restricted area and hope he spawns on your minimap. But even then, he can get shot by guards, he can fall off a roof or just completely despawn and get you nothing. There are also reports of the trophy bugging out completely, forcing you to mess with your saves or just give up. Over 14 years later, and people still struggle with this one. So yeah, tax evasion ends up as Revelation's rarest quote-unquote reward. For Assassin's Creed 3, I went with something a lot of players never even knew existed, and even if they did, there is no way to get it anymore. The rarest thing tied to this game is the Coyote Man avatar from the Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer mode. The multiplayer mode that no longer exists and can never be played again. Now, this Coyote Man came from a DLC pack that added 3 new characters, but the standout was easily Coyote Man. He had a bone mask and some war paint, and he absolutely terrified me as a child. He also had some crazy fighting style that made him one of the most memorable looking characters in the whole mode. Now, the problem is that he was locked behind a DLC that has since been fully delisted on every storefront. If you did not buy this back when Assassin's Creed 3's multiplayer was still alive, you're out of luck. Even if somebody still has the DLC installed on an old console perhaps, the multiplayer servers are long shut down, which means this character cannot be used at all. When Ubisoft released Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, none of the multiplayer content returned, so this avatar never came back in any form. Oh, and lore-wise, Coyote Man is great too. He was a Templar hunter who is known for tracking down assassins and killing one mentor with his bare hands. Abstergo even reworked his history for their propaganda, which, added to his mystery. When it comes to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, this game introduced to us a ton of outfits and weapons, and if anything, it low-key kind of hinted towards the RPG direction of the franchise we're in now. But hey, that's a different topic. As for the rarest pick in this game, I would have to go with the Explorer outfit. Now, this was an outfit that wasn't something you could earn through normal gameplay. It was tied to the old community challenges, which was a system Ubisoft ran for a short time after launch, where players worked together to hit global goals. The Explorer outfit was locked behind one of those challenges, and once the events stopped rolling out, the outfit vanished for good. Now, as for the look of the outfit itself, it's pretty good in red and white. The problem is that the game never brought those events back, and the servers that tracked them were eventually shut down. Anybody who started the game now or even a few years after release had no way of completing the challenge. You could still see white whales, blue chests, or royal convoy spawn, but the actual community rewards, including the Explorer outfit, were gone. Oh yeah, and to make things even more confusing, there's people online claiming that they got it by accident on certain platforms, while others have never seen it unlocked no matter what they tried. Ubisoft later confirmed that the outfit is no longer obtainable on most versions of the game. Notice how I said most. The only exceptions are the Switch release, which includes all community items by default, and there are also PC mods that manually unlock it. Because of this, the Explorer outfit ends up being one of the rarest pieces of gear in the entire franchise. Moving on, we have Assassin's Creed Rogue, and I'm not gonna lie, this is where the list kind of flips on its head. If I made this video 10 years ago, Assassin's Creed Rogue would have been perfect, because it's the one game that actually had so many rare items. But now in 2025, Ubisoft basically made it so that all the rare stuff in this game is now obtainable very easily. Which is good, by the way, I'm not complaining about that. So instead, the rare pick here ends up being something that is technically always available, but only a very small amount of players will ever unlock it, and that is the Templar Master outfit. Now this is an outfit that you would get for beating all 4 legendary ship battles in the North Atlantic, with the final one being that also infamous Storm Fortress. These fights are basically supercharged man of wars that hit like tanks. Storm Fortress in particular is remembered as one of the hardest quote-unquote boss encounters in the whole franchise, with so many people on Reddit and forums talking about tons and tons of failed attempts, weird cheese strats with burning oil, or just turning on invincibility and praying. Now because you need a fully upgraded Morrigan and strong enough willpower to sit there for hours retrying the same naval battle over and over, most people never see that outfit. It's always sitting there on the menu, but only the true stubborn people actually earn it. When it comes to Assassin's Creed Unity, I was going to originally include the secret cake boss enemy, but that's not an item, so let's not do that. But instead, I've gone with something rather stupid thinking of it now, and that is the Sans Culotte legendary set. Now do know I said legendary set, not the other rarity tiers this set has. The reason I've included this is technically anybody can buy it, but almost nobody actually does. The thing is stupidly expensive. If you total up the hood, the coat, the bracers, belt and trousers, you are looking at roughly 775 to 790,000 livres, and that is before you dump sync points into upgrading each piece. Now that is hours and hours of doing those heists, those murder mysteries, co-op and of course cafe grinding, just to afford one single outfit. Unity does not hand out money that fast either, which is where the real problem comes in. Back at launch, Ubisoft let you quote-unquote hack each legendary item with Helix credits, so you could skip the grind by paying real cash. Every Sans Culotte piece has a Helix option sitting right there next to the price tag, quietly pushing players toward the microtransactions instead of the gameplay. That's typical Ubisoft, right? Most people either settle for cheaper legendary sets that the game gives you, or they don't ever bother with this set. So yeah, while the Sans Culotte gear is always there in the shop, the combination of the insane cost and gross monetization makes it one of Unity's rarest full sets in practice. For Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the rarest thing you can realistically go after is the Aegis outfit. It's an outfit on paper that sounds simple enough. Find all 32 Secrets of London music boxes scattered across the map, take them to the vault, and claim an ancient ezio armor set that once belonged to Minerva. But you see, in practice though, hardly anybody actually finishes this hunt. The music boxes are hidden away in odd corners of the city, the clues are vague, and Syndicate does not mark them for you. I feel like most people give up long before they reach the vault. Now when you finally unlock the outfit, it comes with a strange visual shimmer that some people love and some people can't stand. I can't stand it because it ruins immersion entirely. I mean dark Victorian London and then you have this bright white outfit. It also only works for Eevee. The stats themselves are fine, giving small boosts to damage resistance and cane sword attacks. But Syndicate throws so many skill points at you that you don't really need it. That's why so many people refer to the Aegis outfit as more of a completionist trophy than a useful set of gear. Still, the lore behind it is great. It's tied to Minerva, one of the oldest ezio figures in the franchise, and it's one of the only outfits in the game that feels like a proper hidden reward. The problem is the grind to get it. And because of that, the Aegis outfit ends up being something most people have heard of, but only a small group of people ever bother to unlock it. In Assassin's Creed Origins, most legendary weapons feel interchangeable once you start hitting higher levels, but Hepzephah's sword is in its own lane. This is a weapon that's very easy to get. You just play the main story. But that's not why it's rare. The reason it's rare and the reason it's in this video is because it's the only melee weapon in the entire game that is set on fire forever, meaning you don't need no oil jars or fire traps or even a torch. Every swing sets enemies on fire no matter what they're holding, even if they block with a giant shield. This weapon is meant to feel like a final gift from Bayek's closest friend, and the game treats it like a real one-of-a-kind item. The catch is that Assassin's Creed Origins never warns you that this item can be sold or dismantled. Tons of people have lost it without even realizing it happened. They clear out their inventory and then it's gone for good. You can't even replay the quest. You can't craft a replacement. The only hope is that the Bureau store randomly sells it again, and even that rotation can take forever. And that's why Hepzephah's sword feels rare in a way that most Assassin's Creed Origins loot doesn't. Not because of the actual main story mission, but because if you slip up once, the only permanently burning sword in the entire game just disappears from your save file. So if you still have the sword, fair play to you, because I don't. Assassin's Creed Odyssey has so much loot that most people forget 90% of it the moment that they level up. I couldn't decide on which rare item to feature in this video, so I figured why not do both. So there are two items that stand out because they're tied to moments everybody remembers. The first is a golden egg from the Fate of Atlantis DLC. This is a very rare golden egg dropped by a golden chicken. If you open the map, it's at this location top left. And once you arrive here, you can spot a hidden entrance blocked off by wood. Once you destroy the wood and get inside, there sits the golden chicken. Now, this single golden chicken has a full boss bar, and it hits quite harder than it has any right to. When you finally take the chicken down after breaking down its pretty long health bar, it drops the only golden egg in the whole game, and it sells for a massive amount of drachmi. I do think it's one of the highest single item payouts in Odyssey, which makes it feel like you just robbed the ezio equivalent of a bank vault. The second item is way more iconic, even though it's way stupider. Is that a word? Stupider? And that is the Cyclops Eye. After the cutscene where Cassandra or Alexia shoves his eye into a goat's ass, the game straight up tells you that the goat is still running around with it. And you know, the funny part is the developers actually committed to the joke. If you go back to Kefalonia and start hunting goats, one of them eventually drops the eye. It's a super random drop, so you might get it instantly, or you might end up thinning out the entire island's goat population, committing goat genocide before it appears. When it finally drops, you get an achievement and a decent chunk of early game cash. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and this game hides a bunch of mythical weapons, but the one I feel like is the rarest is Nodin's Arc. This is on a whole different level because the steps to get it are so weird and so oddly specific that nobody would ever figure it out on their own. Excalibur and Mjolnir get talked about all the time, and even though they are rare and take some work to get, at least the game gives you hints. Nodin's Arc does not do that. Instead, this is a bow that's hidden away behind a rock in the middle of a lake in Yorkshire, and the game expects you to break that rock only during sunset while holding Excalibur. Now that's so weirdly specific. There is nothing in normal gameplay that tells you any of this. You basically need community discoveries and a lot of patience. Now to actually get the bow, you first need Excalibur. That already takes hunting down the tablets across England and dealing with 3 zealots. Once you've got Excalibur, you head up to the big lake southeast of Brunton Turret. In the center is a tiny island with a strange ore deposit on it. If you smack that strange ore deposit with Excalibur during the exact time of day that you need to, it finally breaks open and drops the bow. There is also a glitch method that not many people know about, where you can use the shoulder bash ability on the rock with no Excalibur needed. But you know, I think the legit route is still the one people talk about because of how oddly specific it is. Assassin's Creed Mirage has a small pool of gear compared to the RPG era, but the few rare items it does have are tied to some pretty strange circumstances. The first one is Dervi's outfit, which is a Twitch drop reward that almost nobody actually has access to right now as of me making this video. Now do note, I did say as of me making this video. This was only available during a 1-hour reveal stream for the Valley of Memory DLC, and as of now on the 15th of November, that update is not out, so I can't tell you whether the game just hands it to you for everybody, or if it's still exclusive to just the people that watch that Twitch stream. So in case that's the case, the other item is the Milad outfit, which is the game's big ezio armor set. Now unlike the Dervi's outfit, this one is actually obtainable, but you do have to go out your way for it. You need 5 mysterious shards, and those come from specific hidden members of the Order. Once you have enough shards, you travel to the northern oasis and descend into the chamber under the sand. Inside is the armor sealed behind an ezio barrier, and the shards are the key to opening it. When you do finally unlock it, the outfit is fully upgraded. Its perk triggers a flash of light whenever you land an air assassination, which can make crowded areas way easier to handle. But you know, since not many people realize how to get this outfit, it is quite a rare one, and so it makes sense to feature it in this video. And last but not least, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, which just came out recently, so this one is a bit tricky to find a super rare item, but I do think it's possible. This game is already packed with gear, but the rarest items in the whole game are not found in missions or chests or bosses. In fact, they came from a real-world collaboration that a lot of people never even knew existed. So Focus Fuel released a limited citrus yuzu caffeine gummy earlier this year, and inside each pack was a code that gave you the Blade of Focus and Courage, which is a purple naginata along with a small currency pack. Now this promotion lasted a very short time, and once they were gone, that was it. You know, I even contacted Focus Fuel myself asking if there were any left, and they straight up said no. The only way to get them now is by buying them from online stores and other retailers, and the prices are ridiculous. The weapon does show up in the weapon exchange in game, but it almost never appears. It took I think like 5 or 6 months for the weapon to finally appear in the weapon exchange, and even then it costs a lot of keys, so most people would skip it. And because of that, this naginata ends up being one of the hardest items in the game to actually get your hands on. There is another naginata named the Slash of Sprecher from the Root Beer collab, which is similar, but I do think the Focus Fuel one is easily rarer. And just so people don't flood the comments asking, yes, I do actually have a few extra Focus Fuel codes left over, so if anyone wants a rare naginata, let me know. Leave a comment down below and I will reply to you. And there we have it. Those are the rarest items in every Assassin's Creed game. You know, it's crazy how many of these were tied to old servers, forgotten promotions, or just straight up weird requirements that most people would never stumble into. If I missed anything, or you know, a rare item that deserves a spot in this video, let me know down in the comments below, because I am always down to dig into more of this stuff. Once again, thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to grab Raid using the link or the QR code and claim your 2 epic champions and bonuses while they're available.